Lightning bolts surges through the clouds with some striking solid ground. Thunderclaps follows the bolts with the expected sound associated with them. Heavy rain pours back down to earth and the water. Winds forces water to smack onto shore. The Miyakujima typhoon has arrived above Okinawa. All of the businesses have their windows and entrances boarded up, and their owners are sitting or sleeping through the storm as it passes over the island. In many of the homes, it is the same thing, including the Misaka home. The youngest of the family sits in her mother's room on the bed, reading the novel that her grandfather gave her early this morning. She turns to the last page and reads the final words written on it. When Makoto finishes, she takes in a deep breath. Wow, what a read. She turns the last page on the novel and sees the "The End" in white on the other side. Then she closes the book and views the back cover. As she reads why the book was made, she finds something very strange. That's odd. The author doesn't mention his name. Why remain anonymous? I think he should be praised for this work. She scoots to the edge of the bed and stretches her body. Oh, man. The sound of the crackling storm causes her to look toward the boarded up window. Guess I was so zoned in, I kind of forgot about the storm. She looks at the door, stands up from the bed, and walks towards it. I wonder how they're doing through all this. She walks out of the room and heads down the hallway. She reaches the living room and immediately looks to the left. Mizuzu is laying on her husband with both of them snoring. They are wasted and drunk. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. 1 hour before, as the family was boarding up the house, Akira and Chidori were playing chess. The former won, but the latter was furious. Mizuzu and Tabigake broke it up and proposed an idea. The traditional drunk talk that happens every year, of which Makoto wanted no part of. And now, seeing her parents like this is very usual for her. But as she looks around, she cannot find her grandparents. She looks back down the hallway and notices a cracked open door at the very end next to the bathroom. She silently heads down and peeks inside. She finds Chidori sleeping soundly in her bed. She smiles and carefully closes the door. Suddenly, the sound of music, no, military-like music starts playing, getting her attention. What the? She turns around to find another door behind her cracked open. She notices that the light is on inside. She steps up to it and quietly opens the door. She peeks inside and becomes astonished. She steps further inside and looks around. It is a mini library with literature, novels, and even old manga from the 1960s and 1970s. Looking past the bookshelf, she spots a Type 99 Arisaka bolt-action rifle. Next to it is an old IGN uniform, beaten, bloodied, and covered in dirt. Looking past that, she spots Akira in a chair next to a desk and reading a novel with an old music box playing old military music. The old veteran's eyes veers to the left. Hello, Makoto? Do you need something? How did you know it was me? Your weak electric field gave it away. Also, my ears aren't as old as they look. Oh, well, I was kind of wondering what you've been doing. Catching up on a novel that I've been waiting to finish. He closes the book and turns to his granddaughter, standing in the middle of his private office. Speaking of books, I can see that you don't have Godzilla in your hands. Oh, yeah, I just finished it a few moments ago. Well, what did you think of it? Jeez, where do I even begin? Let's start with your initial thoughts. Right. I gotta be honest, my first impressions were terrible. I genuinely expected it to be some dumb monster story that got way overhyped, right? But the further I read it, the more invested I became. I did say that the first chapter got my attention and I never stopped reading. Were you surprised by the theme of the story? There was a theme? I couldn't have answered to the old man. Yes, the entire theme of the story is that the monster is a representation of the atomic bombs. Man created the monster and is taking its revenge on man. That's right. That actually makes sense. Tell me, what else did you find interesting about the story? Makoto puts her hand under her chin and thinks. Well... For the next 5 minutes, Makoto explains to Akira various parts of the novel that caught her interest. Was she really in love with the guy, or... She looks at him more like a brother. Brutal, I know. Any questions she asks, the old man answers it. How do I showcase it? It kind of goes into the wires like this. She mimics the movement where the monster attacks the high-tension wires to Akira's amusement. But with all of that, there is one question that lingers in Makoto's mind that remains. So, do you really think that a monster like Godzilla attacked the body? No doubt about it. Makoto begins to think. Could it be a rogue esper from Academy City? Or a sorcerer from Europe? Hey, don't overthink it, okay? Look at it this way. At least we're still alive. Thank God for that. And we were able to have fun without bringing it up all that much. It would kind of kill the mood. Yeah, it would. Listen, there's something I want to tell you. You are the 3rd ranked level 5, but that doesn't mean you'll have to constantly throw yourself into danger. I get that you want to protect those around you, but there comes a risk when you do it. And after everything that happened in the past 6 months, especially with that boy, you should be more careful. Makoto's cheeks blushes red. How do you... Your mother. Oh. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, don't go up against forces that you know you can't beat. And if you get dragged into a personal hell, find a way to get out of it. Makoto smiles, taking Akira's advice to heart. She goes up to him and gives him a big hug. Thanks, Grandpa. Anytime, sweetheart. Good night. Makoto quietly exits the room as Akira gets back to reading his novel. She walks down the hallway and hears the crack of lightning. She enters the kitchen. She opens a cabinet and takes out a glass cup. She pours herself a cup of water and heads back into the hallway. She enters back into her mother's bedroom and closes the door behind her. 3 minutes later, she is in her Gekido pajamas. She takes a sip of water, rests the glass next to the lamp, and lies down on the bed. She looks at the novel next to the glass of water. She thinks back to what her grandfather told her. It seemed like he wasn't lying about the whole thing. But could it really be true, though? She thinks on it for a little bit more. And then she comes to a reasonable conclusion. A monster destroyed the body. Yeah, right. Not in a million years. With her mind coming to that conclusion, she rests her hand onto the pillow and her brown eyes looks up at the ceiling. Sorry, Grandpa. In a world where it never gets dull, something like that wouldn't even exist. But I won't tell him that. Her eyes closes and she finally falls asleep. Akira turns the page of a novel and continues reading. The light in the room starts flickering, getting his attention. That's odd. Must be a dying bulb. As if on cue, the light goes out. Yep, dying bulb. Where did I put the flashlight? He puts the book in the desk and rubs the top of it to feel for a flashlight. Ah, here it is. He picks it up and turns it on. The light aims for the ceiling light. That has to be the second one already. Thank God I got more yesterday. He aims the light down to guide him on the floor. He exits the room and goes for the hallway light. He flicks the switch, but the light doesn't turn on. Oh, power outage. I'm sure it's only temporary. Suddenly, an unearthly sound echoes throughout the outside. Akira pauses. He has heard this sound before. Immediately, he knows what it is. It can't be. With the flashlight helping him, he goes into his room and approaches his wife. Chidori, wake up! Akira, go to bed. I heard the sound again. It's the same one from 2 days ago. Probably a transformer. She falls back to sleep, not taking her husband's word for it. A slight rumble shakes the room. Akira flashes the light all over the room as another shakes the area. It's on land. A distant explosion from the outside gets his attention. Akira rushes out of his room and rushes down the hallway. He enters his daughter's bedroom and gets near Makoto, still sleeping. He slightly shakes her awake. Makoto! Wake up, honey! Grandpa? What is it? What's wrong? I heard it again. The sound that I talked about. It's probably just the thunder. You must have mistaken it for something else. Not this time. Makoto sits up in the bed as the old veteran shines the light at the ceiling. It's the same one from 2 days ago. Akira reaches his arm out to the lamp to turn it on. As expected, it does not turn on. The power's out. That's probably what you heard. Here, I'll get it running again in no time. Akira stops her from getting out of bed. You don't believe me? Alright, watch the glass. He shines the light onto the glass of water. Okay, Grandpa's gonna say. She silently sighs to herself and looks at the glass of water. Nothing happens as of yet. Akira waits for the shaking to occur. Suddenly, the water in the glass cup ripples. Did you see that? I'm pretty sure that was just thunder. Just wait another second. Frustration starts to grow within the teenager. The water in the cup ripples again. But then, it ripples again. 2 more seconds goes by. The water ripples again, then repeats in a pattern. Now, Makoto is starting to understand what her grandfather is telling her. That's odd. But it's not just that. Can you feel it? She turns and places her hand on the wall behind her. She feels the wall vibrate slightly. Confusion turns into concern. Wait, what? I told you, this is not from the storm. From the outside, there is a faint boom that sounds like it could be over 3 miles away. What just blew up? Suddenly, a great, tremendous guttural sound rages through the heavy rain and winds. Concern now turns into worry. What was that? Makoto, listen. Get Mizuzu and Tabi. I'll get Chidori. We have to leave. Get in the storm? There's no other choice. Move! Akira stands back up and rushes to the door. Makoto quickly gets out of the bed and rushes down the hallway. The vibrations continues as she enters the living room. Mama! Papa! Makoto? What's going on? Makoto follows the voice in the dark living room. Her foot feels the couch and sits down on her knees. The parents and daughter reaches their hands out and they connect with one another. What the hell was that sound? I don't know, but Grandpa said we have to leave the house. Wait, in the storm? That's what I said. But I feel like there's no other choice. Her sentence gets cut off by a great boom. It sounds like someone is kicking a big amplifier box. The entire house begins to vibrate following more booms. With each boom, the floor and house shakes more intensely. The three huddle together, unknowing of what is going on. Chidori, now awake, does not know what is going on. Her husband comes into the room and gets her out of bed. Chidori, let's go! We can't stay here! The boom grows even louder and more intense shaking ensues. Not just the house, but the ground itself shakes. The two old couple rushes out of the room, but the sudden quake takes them off of their feet. The flashlight suddenly goes out, but the two continue down the hallway in darkness. Appliances falls out of place. Plates, silverware in the fridge falls over. In the living room, the TV falls over. Ceiling dust spills down below. The plywood protecting the windows and doors comes apart. Suddenly, all over the house, all of the windows shatters. The glass hits Tabigaki and Mizuzu, shielding their daughter. Rain rushes into the house. Suddenly, the walls and the roof is starting to give way. Akira and Chidori finally exit the hallway as they topple over. Without knowing it, they are between the living room and the kitchen. Akira gets to his knees and looks at the broken open windows. Lightning flashes, lighting the house for a split second. His eyes widens and holds on to Chidori as tight as he can. Hang on, Chidori! Another lightning bolt flashes the house once more. He briefly sees his daughter, son-in-law, and granddaughter. Take care of each other. We love you. The three calls out to Akira. The roof of the house suddenly collapses. The force pushes Tabigaki, Mizuzu, and Makoto back against the wall behind them, but they only hear the sound of rushing rain and winds, along with the thunderous booms. Shit! We can't stay here! Come on and don't let go! With the constant quaking continuing, the three stands up and exits the house onto the front porch. The winds, rain, and darkness is making it very hard to see anything. The three enters the yard and onto the street. They can see a light in the distance, more than usual. Upon looking closer, they realize that they are fires raging in the distance and close by. Their family can see someone, then another. The civilians within the affected area gets out of their crumbled homes onto the streets. A bolt of lightning reveals more of the devastation that they are getting away from. With shock and disbelief, the Misaka family trudges through the carnage. Makoto looks behind her and sees the wreckage of the neighbors' houses and businesses, including her grandparents. A single bolt of lightning surges from the clouds above to the ground in the distance. Makoto's eyes widens out of shock. She saw something silhouetted against the bolt's light. Something towering over everything. Something walking away in the distance.